There's different types of Salsify. This one's kind of hairy. It's got a lot of side roots, so you gotta knock those off when you go to clean it. I found with this variety you have to peel it because there's so many side roots. It's I mean, it's not impossible, but I guess you could pick them off and scrub it. I don't like. Hi, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I was out here. I thought I would take a look at my Salsify plants. These are Salsify that I grew all last season. I would have planted them in April, I guess, April or May. I think it was April of 2019. It is now early March 2020. So these have been in the garden all winter. The ground froze here, and then I put this dome over it, or I put this, I guess you could call it a plastic, a rectangle with plastic attached to it, a rectangular wooden frame with plastic attached to it, 6 mil polyethylene. So I put this over it, and then I put a little thing in the middle to dome it up a little bit, so it's just a really simple, easy, cheap dome. And I did this because I left some of the Salsify in the ground, and I was hoping this would thaw the ground out. So what I'm going to do today, and I probably did this almost a month ago, I think, maybe 3 weeks ago, see how it's worked. The last time I tried to get these Salsify out of the ground, they were frozen and I could not really get at them. So we're going to have a look today. I've had lots of questions about my Salsify and growing it. This was my first year ever growing it, so I'm not an expert on it. It's, for those that don't know, it's sort of an old world, this is the kind of thing people grew in the pioneer days. I found it very easy to grow. I grew a lot of it. I guess it's like a carrot-like or parsnip-like plant, although it doesn't taste like those things. It puts a long root into the ground, and it's the root you can eat the greens, but the root is the main thing you're growing for, and it's a storage vegetable. So it's supposed to store well, it's easy to grow. I really didn't water these all summer long last year. They really did sort of take care of themselves, so I am going to plant them again. Well, I'll talk more about that as we dig these up, but let's pop this off and see what kind of thaw I'll be able to affect here. And just for reference, I mean, if you go around my garden, the soil is frozen everywhere. It's frozen deep, as far as I can tell. I haven't done a video on how frozen the garden is, but I've gone around probing with sticks and the soil's frozen. So I mean, the fact that the soil's thawed here doesn't say anything about where I live or that sort of thing. It's because I've created a little microclimate. And as I've said lots of times before, when you create a decent microclimate, it basically moves that piece of ground a month ahead of time. So, even though it's March, early March, so late winter, from this piece of soil's point of view, it's April. Right? That's kind of what you're doing. You're making it a little bit warmer, just a little bit of a microclimate. So, yeah, let's have a look at what's going on here. Pretty low tech. Look at that. Rid of this guy. Have a look here. A probing tool here. Yeah, from what I can tell, the soil is thawed. It has thawed out. It only took a few weeks. So yeah, there's not a huge one. There's different types of Salsify. This one's kind of hairy. It's got a lot of side roots, so you gotta knock those off when you go to clean it. I found with this variety you have to peel it because there's so many side roots. It's I mean, it's not impossible, but I guess you could pick them off and scrub it. I don't like having to peel vegetables, and I generally don't peel my potatoes or my carrots or my parsnips, but this one I did. Apparently there's other varieties. I think there's like a black kind that doesn't have any of these hairs. I mean, these hairs are good because it helps the plant find water, but you get, I'll dig some more up, but some of them have, instead of having really fine hairs coming off the sides, they've got really heavy hairs coming off the side. I'll show you what I mean. Dig up a few more. Look at that. I mean, this is just grass, but new growth. right? In March. Everywhere, there's nothing growing anywhere. If you look at my lawn, it's dead and the ground's frozen. You know, that just goes to show even a really simple microclimate like that, you don't, I mean, I've got more elaborate hoop houses and stuff like that in the garden, but you don't have to go that crazy. You can just make a plastic rectangle, pop the middle up with something, anything, bucket or container or whatever, and that's all you need to create, you know, a functional microclimate. Thaw your soil and get things happening. Anyway, I just wanted to show that because that's new growth, right? That was not growing during the winter. All right, let's see if there's any more of these. Now the side, so it's just the middle that's thawed out. There's a beet. The side is still frozen. If I try to get into it, it's frozen. It's frozen down about 4 inches the side. So that's not really in business yet. There's a couple beets. I tried growing, companion planting beets with Salsify, and I got the outcome was subpar beets, and the Salsify wasn't as big as I would have anticipated it to get. Let's put it that way. Given the volume of the greens, had really good greens. See if we can find another one here. There's a couple right here. Yeah, see that one's it's almost all hair. I'll bring that up closer to the camera in a minute. Oh, come on. Really in there. The side roots make them very difficult to extract. Usually when I'm picking carrots and stuff like that, I can just pull them out of the ground. But these things don't seem to want to come out because they've just got so many heavy and aggressive side roots. Holy smokes. Another one. Another one there. Yeah, so. Right, they're not huge. They're like a smallish carrot, this particular one. But again, I planted it in pretty tight. I didn't really space them out, and I had them growing in with beets and stuff like that. So I really didn't give them optimal conditions to you know, succeed. Put it that way. But I still got some, right? There's a sense of the greens kind of look like grass. Very similar appearance to grass. Not exactly. Somewhere between grass and chives, I guess. Or somewhere between grass and garlic greens would be a good way of describing the appearance of them. I had a viewer say that you can eat the greens. You just, you know, steam or fry them up or whatever. I didn't try them last season, but maybe this year. I think I'm going to grow a bed of them this year, but I'm going to try to find the black ones, so I don't have these crazy side. It's a little bit bigger. I got a 9-inch hand span, or 8 to 9 inch hand span. That's about a 9-incher. Not bad. Here's an example of these crazy side roots that this particular variety can send out. Again, really good for finding water, right? So it's a low maintenance plant in that sense. But I also see that white stuff coming up, almost like a dandelion root, that sort of white latex-like substance coming out of it. You know, very similar in that sense, but they don't taste like that. So anyway, these side roots, I just knock them off, right? I know people have asked me before what they taste like, and the best description I could give was that they taste like, to me, like cassava, which is a sort of tropical, or you know, it's a root vegetable that grows in, you know, hotter countries, warmer latitudes. So many people may not have tried that. It's food they eat in hotter countries, you know, various parts of Africa, Brazil, that sort of thing. Yucca is also called. Anyway, to me, which you can't grow it here, or, you know, I think it would be it needs a long, hot season. So it's a great thing for growing in a really hot place. But yeah, definitely not suited to climate here. But Salsify is suited to the climate here, and it's a cold country vegetable. It's ideal for the conditions in North America. And some of you are watching this saying, "Oh, your soil isn't soft," and if you're saying that, you're probably new to my channel. It's just the way these things root up. They're very difficult to extract. That's another thing to understand about growing these. If you're going to do it, they don't come out as easily as some other things. That's why I'm using kind of like a hammer and chisel to get these out. I just find this a useful tool. Makes it a lot easier in certain ways, doing certain kinds of things instead of breaking your back. Now you put the physics to work. And I find a stick like this, more so than a gardening tool, is less apt to damage a root vegetable. So, yeah. So I guess we answered a couple questions. I mean, while that system thaw the soil at ahead of schedule, yeah, in reasonably short order, because this was way too frozen to get into just a few weeks ago. And number two, will Salsify overwinter in a bed? Absolutely. These have not started to grow yet, and to me they look exactly like they looked last fall. So I imagine they're still good to eat, still reasonably good tasting. You know, once any biennial plant like this, once it starts growing the second year, the flavor tends to degrade a bit. But so you want to, that's why I'm picking them today. You want to pick these things before they start going into, you know, seed production mode, right? I don't know what these do when they go to seed, but they definitely look like they survived the winter. They look completely viable, and I would anticipate that if I leave a couple in the ground, they'll grow really big and probably make some seeds. And I'll probably do that by mistake anyway, right? But probably, and this is an heirloom variety. I can't remember what the variety is, but it was an heirloom, so the seeds can be saved. Really, I think with Salsify you probably can only find heirloom varieties. I don't think any farms produce this. Maybe they don't keep well, I don't know. But certainly in North America anyway, you can't just go to the grocery store and buy Salsify. I mean, maybe there's somewhere you can, but I've never, in the grocery stores I go to, I've never seen this. Maybe if you live in a big city and there's a specialty market there which has like old world Eastern European type stuff, maybe. There's a larger one. Huge side roots though. Look at these. Look at the size of the side roots coming off of that. Right? That's why I'm not a huge fan of this variety, because it's just so much of the mass of the plant you gotta throw away, right? I'd rather the thing be all sort of edible root. Those side roots are just too there's just not enough to them to make a meal out of. Anyway, I'm gonna dig up the rest of these, but I thought I'd just bring you along for this process. The dome totally worked. The soil's thawed out and workable to access the ones that were left here. And these are going to be part of the Sunday dinner sort of thing, right? How do I prepare these? I just peel them and cut them up and into sort of uniform size, and roast them in the oven like I would any other root vegetable, like a carrot or a parsnip or a potato. I'm sure there's lots of different ways you can put salt, pepper, rosemary, garlic. I mean, it shows lots of different ways to dress them up. Flavor-wise, I found they taste like a cassava or yucca. There's lots of other, they used to be called some sort of oyster or something like that. I'm a big fan of oysters, and I eat raw oysters. They don't taste like oysters at all. Okay, so I don't know whoever said that. It must have been repeated a 1,000 times, but whoever said 100 years ago that they taste like oysters must have been a heavy smoker and had a terrible palate. Would be my best guess, because they taste like a starchy root vegetable, but to me like a cassava, which is very starchy and very pleasant to eat. So I think they're totally worth growing. I'm going to grow them over the next few years and see if I can get them to be the size of my parsnips, because I'm used to a root vegetable being like these would be like the smallest of my parsnips, where my typical parsnips are 2 inches across or more. So once I can get them to that size, then we'll be working with something. Anyway, hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.